short-run Phillips curve. If for some reason the short-run aggregate supply curve shifts and the short-run Phillips curve is a mirror image, then the short-run Phillips curve shifts. So if the short-run aggregate supply curve shifts to the left, the Phillips curve shifts to the right. And if the short-run aggregate supply curve shifts to the right, then the short-run Phillips curve shifts to the left. Why would the short-run aggregate supply curve shift? We'll start with a negative supply shock. Examples of negative supply shock are increase in crude oil prices, unusually bad weather, increase in input costs, increased public or private inefficiencies. Any of these events occurring causes the short-run aggregate supply curve to shift to the left, thus the short-run Phillips curve shifts to the right. The next reason why the short-run Phillips curve shifts is a positive supply shock. Examples of a positive supply shock are decrease in crude oil prices, unusually good weather, decrease in input costs, decrease in business taxes. Any of these events occurring causes the short-run aggregate supply curve to shift to the right, thus the short-run Phillips curve shifts to the left. Notice as this is occurring here that you get more employment at lower prices, or as you notice here on the Phillips curve, you get less unemployment and lower inflation. The next reason why the short-run Phillips curve shifts is because of expected inflation. Let me give you an example of how expected inflation rate changes. If any of the following situations occur, the aggregate demand curve shifts to the right. Increase in the money supply, increase in government spending, decrease in taxes. As aggregate demand shifts to the right, you go along the short-run aggregate supply curve, increasing employment and increasing the price level. So looking at the Phillips curve, that means there's a decrease in unemployment and an increase in inflation. If an increase in aggregate demand leads people to expect an increase in inflation, they base their future predictions, expected inflation rate, on what they are actually seeing or feeling. If a rise in expected inflation triggers a rise in labor costs and input costs, this shifts the short-run aggregate supply curve to the left and the short-run Phillips curve to the right. So a rise in the expected inflation rate shifts the short-run Phillips curve to the right and shifts the short-run aggregate supply curve to the left. A fall in expected inflation rate shifts the short-run Phillips curve to the left and the short-run aggregate supply curve to the right.